This futures live stream event is proudly brought to you by MightyOxTrading. All information contained herein should be considered for educational and entertainment purposes only. Nothing seen or heard should be considered financial advice. Good morning and welcome to MightyOxTrading. Happy Wednesday. Hope everyone's had a great night. Ready for a great day. Let's look at the markets overnight. ES low 57.80. Looks like the high 801. It's easy math, right? About 21 points in range. NQ dipped down to 196. Looks like the high was 297. So that's about 101 points in range. Copper's continuing to dip. About 220 ticks in range. Ultra Bond continuing to dip. Looks like about 3/4 of a point. Gold trying to rise up. Looks like about 15 points in range. Crude oil trying to bounce. Everything's moved since I moved the yellow lines. About 150 ticks in range. 160. Natural gas wonky, and we have Bitcoin sitting about 62.1. That's where we sit. Stand in whatever body posture you're choosing to take this morning. Popping back up here a little bit. That's a nice little pop. I was answering a question on Discord. Let's see, where is my Tradeify? Yesterday was not a good day, so hopefully today will be. Hey, good morning, Dakota. How are you today? Still rising up. So we got dipped down to 254 there. It's risen up for about 14 points. I'm doing pretty good, thanks. Hey, Rod. I just don't know where the bats have gone. I mean, I don't know. I had a bad feeling about this playoffs anyway. They're just, I think it was better than they started. Got the slow starts the last couple of years, and then came on strong in the second half. It seemed like it was the opposite this year, and just maybe they'll surprise me today. But yeah, I have a feeling the season's over. Pulls back here a little bit. Purple candle, but right above the 100. Yeah, I was surprised how the Twins just lost it. I'm shocked that the Tigers snuck in. Pulls back to to the 9 and 20. Coming up around the open, we'll have Matt from Phidias Trading here, trading coach and educator. He's going to talk about what he does to prepare for his day. Yeah, and the Tigers just, I mean, I don't understand how they're doing it. They have like one starting pitcher. Trying to bounce on the lines. News this morning, I don't remember if we have any. Fed speaker? He's supposed to be speaking now, but I'm not seeing any headlines. Logan speaking at 9:15, so 15 minutes before the bell. U.S. wholesale inventories at 10 o'clock. Crude oil inventories at 10:30. Fed speaker at 10:30. Fed speakers later on into the afternoon, and then FOMC meeting minutes this afternoon at 2 Eastern. Of course, tomorrow's the big one, CPI. Yeah, Dakota clutch anyway. I mean, even so, I mean, you know, if you ask me to name hitters from Detroit, it's like no names really stand out as absolute stars. I mean, I know Matt Vierling because he was a Philly. Torkelson because he was a hot prospect, but he's never really lived up to that hot prospect status. I think there's a Riley Green, but if you ask me any of their other names, I probably couldn't tell you. Just whereas even like the Twins, I know Correa, I know Buxton, a couple others that right now my brain's freezing on, but still, it's just like. Short off that purple. I'll tell you, Buxton, I just so wish his body could stay healthy. I would love to have seen what he did with his career with a healthy body. Yeah, absolutely, it is. And honestly, if my Phillies are eliminated, I'll probably root for those Tigers. More not just because they're a no-name team, but John DeFore, that's his team, so I also root for a friend's team. And it's just weird how some players are like that. I remember J.D. Drew, the guy who didn't sign with the Phillies when he was drafted #1 overall. And it just seemed like, every year he had a different injury. It's just, I mean, there's a lot more injuries now in baseball anyway. It seems like hardly anyone can stay on the field the entire year. But, I mean, just like some players are just fragile for whatever reason. It's not like they don't try to improve on that. It's just something's whatever with their body. I don't know. gonna come up and stop me. Still sitting here, trying to decide what it wants to do with its life. No, I woke up to an email from them, so apparently they know me. I've sent, I've signed up as an affiliate, not because I plan on promoting them, at least not right away, but start a dialogue to see whether or not I can find out more about them. Obviously, anything, I'm suspicious of anything coming out of Dubai, since usually Dubai is the place where people go to try and skirt regulations. That said, Earn a Trade's supposedly now based in Dubai. But anyway, my goal is to, find out about him. Someone's already suggested that I do an interview with him if I can get it. It's a thought, though I don't want to be a vessel if they're planning some sort of rug pull and make themselves sound really good. I stopped out on that trade. 4-point stop. So yeah, we'll see what I can find out. Yeah, I know. I mean, okay. I don't want to sound like I just toss out anything from Dubai. I know. Right? And it's also more, like I said, yeah. I mean, absolutely understand why someone would want to do business in Dubai and, our base in Dubai. But I need to know these guys' backgrounds and all that before I jump in. Right, right. Now, so speaking of regulations and all that, looks like there's more and more information coming out about regulations that are going to be hitting the futures prop firm world. There was an interview with Daryl Martin yesterday that said that the CME, he had to send in about 30 pages of paperwork to the CME. Apparently, the CME is going to require or want to see X amount of a firm's revenue coming from live trading, not live sim. It seems to be the basis. Ooh, look at gold falling. Not sure what just happened there. Not sure what else the CME might require. But, so it looks like the days of live sim being, a permanent type of situation could be coming to a close. which I'm not sure how that's going to affect firms that don't have a live option at all, like Lilu and Tick Trader. It is. He did it with somebody that has like 68 subscribers. I don't know exactly why. They apparently must be friends or something. Hey, Jay Jackson, how you doing? Thank you. And it's not just Darryl that's mentioned regulations recently. John Skelton did in his interview with Rock Casilli. Matt L., the CEO of MyFundedFutures, has mentioned it. Sage, who was part of MMFU and now is the COO of FTT, has mentioned it. So, it's not just one company at this point that's mentioning it. So, it's this is happening. There's nothing on a time frame at this point. It's beginning to look a lot like yesterday. Morning, Platt. Everywhere we go, it's a horrible sight to see. Candles chopping up you and me. Gold continuing this fall. You're not a pest. Just give me a couple minutes. It was posted on my Discord, so I'm gonna just scroll back and find it. There it is. Copy link. Here, I'm gonna post it right in here, Rod. There you go. Someone doesn't have a good view of the buy. You're welcome, Rod. pop back up. Nice pop back up. I thought about taking that green candle, decided not to, and then, of course, it went. Anyway, on that video, Rod, he talks about it around, I think it was the 3-minute and 18-second mark. Just hanging here now, back up to the 100 EMA. Taking one small loss so far. Nice rise back up. Sorry, yawned. And blue candle. I'm interested. I think. We'll see how it closes. Comes down. Took the long, but wow, full point of slippage there. So we're just going to do a really tight stop. If it goes, it goes. 3-point stop. Choppy here around 270. Morning, Speed Racer. How are you? Doing all right. It's a fight here at my entry, of course. Why can't they fight 5 points above my entry? Hey, kind of listened. Hey, JC, how's it going today? Out with a small win. Very small. Back down. Yeah, looks like I could have stayed in, but still grinding. Still grinding. Not sure why I sounded Irish when I said that. Just kind of choppy. Still trying to grind. Obviously, I could have got what I was looking for. I should have been more patient. Pulls back. He hasn't given me an exact date on it yet, JC. He told me he's working around the clock to try and get the new Apex stuff out. And all that. So he and I were chatting the other night. He kept me up to 2 a.m. Wow, look at this pullback. But yeah, hopefully it's going to be soon, but not a firm date on it because I want to ask about the regulation stuff too. Hey, Chris, how you doing? Yep. As soon as I know something, I'll let you guys know. Also waiting to hear back from Scott from Fast Track Trading about an interview with him. He said yes, but also no time given yet. Thumbs down. I'm not sure if there was news there or if that was just a regular fall. Let me see if there's anything popping. Nothing. I don't see anything. Hoping to start doing more interviews overall. Not just with these guys, but new some new firms that are popping and all this other stuff. Hopefully, it can become a little series, kind of like what CFT did in the past. And now, I mean, he just did an interview. He's doing a couple interviews lately. Again, if you haven't seen the interviews CFT's done lately, you should check them out. He did one with the founder of Take Profit Trader, and he did one with Joom. Another YouTuber has become popular in the community. Really, really nice guy. Incredibly nice guy. So far, I don't know much, and that's a question I need to ask. I can't see that they allow. It's almost got to be consolidated. Everything I've seen so far, like with their $1 million trader, has made it sound like it's been one funded account. They, they decide. The trader gets to decide how much they want to take out, and then the rest of it's put in as drawdown onto the funded. So, I know that's a big, you lose that ability to spread risk. Hopefully I'm gonna press Mark, John, I guess it's John Mark Skelton, another day or two to get some answers and see if I can get anything from him. Oh, quick whip. Whoosh. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm been getting the impression of. There's no way the CME is going to allow someone to have 20 live accounts. So now I know, like, MyFundedFutures, if you give them a reason that you need 3 live accounts, like you're trading a different strategy on each one, they will consider it. So I'm sure that there's some wiggle room there. But it sounds like the CFT is kind of crafting regulations now. So, part of me thinks we could be seeing, a prop firm apocalypse coming. I hope I'm wrong. Yep, I agree. That said, I will say that the connected firms, the most connected firms, which would be Topstep, Apex, MyFundedFutures, etc., are not making major changes like they think something's something really really bad is coming. You know, and Topstep's usually my the one people looks at if something huge is coming from the CME because Michael Patak has posted pictures of himself, with the president of the CME. So long off that blue candle. Hits the 9, might come right back down on me. That was probably a candle I should not have taken. That was iffy, but we'll see. Come on, baby. Yeah, and that's awesome. I mean, that's still probably a very small percentage, though. I mean, oh, there we go. Target hit. We finally got a win. There we go. And up to the 100 EMA. We have about 6 minutes till the top of the hour, 36 minutes till the bell. Matt from Tiresias Trading will be joining me here around the open. Well, see, and I guess the question is, JC, is will this be enforced? Is, the CME going to force Rhythmic and Tradeify and all to be the keepers? Because if not, how do they shut down a company that may or may not be in the United States? Yeah, I definitely want Bulenox. I mean, I want them all to survive, honestly. But I don't know. Still rising up. Well, I'm not exactly. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't. Kinda, I guess. I mean, CFDs were always illegal in the United States, so that was part of that deal. And but yeah, somehow they stopped MT4. But I mean, forex firms are still operating in the United States, so I don't know. See, I don't know. I have. I can't. I mean, I can only guess. Part of me thinks it's going to be nothing. I mean, it seems like that they want parts of the fees. Because let's face it, if everybody stays on a live sim, CME doesn't get anything from that. Whereas when someone's on live, they're getting the professional data fees, which is $135 per exchange per month. So, if you have even if you have just 1,000 traders that should be on a live versus a live sim, I mean, that's, several $100,000. Well, we've heard it from NFFU, we've heard it from Apex, and we've heard it from FTT. Daryl Martin said right out that he's sent in 30 pages of paperwork to the CME. Hostage stuff. You gotta remember, the CME is a for-profit company. It's not a government agency. It's a for-profit company. So that means they could like sue companies that are operating with their assets and not abiding by whatever rules they set. Hey Charlie, how you doing? Right. Hey, how you doing? How you doing, Joe, dude? So we are about 30 minutes away from the bell. Around that time, Matt from Phidias Trading will be joining me. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, my concern is that things might get way more expensive. Is the big concern. You know, they could say, well, if you want to keep people on SIM, keep them on SIM, but we're going to charge data fees. Or, I mean, this is all speculation. I know nothing, so don't. I'm just talking out loud. I just feel like it's not going to be a good thing overall for the trader. Yeah, I knew who you meant. Nice rise back up. I just got a bad feeling that whatever ends up happening, it's going to end up more expensive for traders. This is also kind of why I've been, everyone's saying, well, why aren't you working your funded accounts? And I am right now. I'm working a funded account, but I'm kind of collecting funded accounts. So, you know, I have them in case something starts making things more expensive. Now, there are a couple firms that do, as of right now at least, cover people's data fees on a live account. Uprofit covers people's data fees on a live account. Take Profit Trader will cover the data fees for any exchange you use in their live sim portion of funding. Gold's pulling back. So, but I mean, again, right now, speculation of where we'll go with this, and even how soon it's going to happen. Will it be before the end of the year? Will it be first quarter, second quarter, 2025? The other thing you have to wonder is what exactly finally made the CME wake up and notice this after all these years. Hey, Brad. Right, but I mean, Apex has been around for 3 years. Topstep's been around for X amount of years. I mean, okay, Topstep's not a sim-only firm, but still, Apex and all been around for a few years. Um, it, you know, but yeah, I mean, obviously, I think honestly, if anything will come up, it might be the fact that we started seeing more data providers, and that it's like before it was Rhythmic and Tradeify. Now you had the Project X or TopStep X and all that. So I don't know. Still rising here, trying to claim 2,300, 20,300. Right. And obviously the CME's probably not happy about that. And I can understand that, really. I mean, I like to point out that with MyFundedFutures, it would only be $76. And you would have 2,500 under all down. Yes, but you have an actual chance to earn real money. Are you going to give people real money if they're profitable? Hosty? Yeah, I know. The thing is, back in summer of 2022, I was talking with Casey McIntosh, who was my affiliate manager then, who's now the one that found one of the founders of their Project X. And he was like, he thought Apex, he thought regulations are coming in the next 6 months, and that was going to destroy Apex. It never happened, and then 10 months later, they came out with one step, one rule. Pushing down. I am short. Was hoping that we might hear from Mr. G today, but so far nothing. He's in Tampa. I don't know if he decided to evacuate or not. There we go. Target hit. There we go. We got 2 wins in a row now. Our friend Josh is in Clearwater. Though he says he's 50 feet above sea level. So hopefully all good there. There's a good chance that MightyOxTrading won't exist by sometime next year if the apocalypse comes. Oh, I did hear from Mr. G. Mr. G says, I'm watching the next update weather report this morning. Then we'll decide to go to the shelter, 2 of them about 10 to 15 minutes east of me. But it doesn't appear to be CFTC, sorry. It appears to be the CME, and they can cut off data if they don't like what's going on. Pop up. Nice pop there. 15 minutes, less than 15 minutes to the bell. No ace yet. No RJ yet. Remember, Matt from Phidias Trading will be joining us sometime soon. Yeah, they can sue anyone that's using their data in a way that they don't want them to, etc. Well, everything that Matt and John and Daryl, that almost sounds like this is Daryl, my other. Anyway, Matt, John, and Daryl have all mentioned has been CME. The CME. No one's mentioned CFTC. Morning, Crypticon. How you doing? Morning, Ace. How are you? Yeah, I mean, they may be using the word wrong, but I think they consider anything because they're going to toe the line that the CME gives them, especially the bigger companies that are in good with the CME. Topstep's in good with the CME. Apex doesn't want to run afoul of the CME. Well, Austin Trap, you don't need to use them. Clean. Why'd you decide to clean the sink at 7 a.m., Ace? Well, if you really got in at 21.92, that's a great trade, Crypt. Yay! Yeah, he's going to be coming on right around the open. I should be hearing from him soon. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping you're right, but I mean, if they do, you got to think some of those costs are going to come toward us. Morning market trend. Hey, USC. How are you this morning? I knew you like that, Ace. That was a long one. Popped up. Blue can. Oh, whoosh. Okay, talking with Matt now. We're getting a Zoom set up. Let me just make sure I still have a Zoom thingy here. Yep. We have to discuss it all because it's a big part of our lives. Guess I need to put my volume up. Give me 1 second here, guys, as I am bringing Matt online here. Matt, can you hear me? All right. Are you ready? Okay, you have the Zoom meetings up on your screen and your screen sharing, so you might want to put that down. Yes. Hold on, I'm bringing you in now.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Matt from TradeDay here with us. Say hello, Matt, so I can make sure that they're hearing you okay.
Good morning, Ox Nation.
Guys,
and if you haven't copyrighted that yet, Ox, I'm doing it, and you'll have to pay me royalties.
Guys, can you hear him okay?
I think they can. USC Sun, good morning. Way too. I'm too loud. Okay, I can pull my microphone back a little bit.
Yeah, it might be me too. I let me just adjust. Try now.
Good morning. Does that work a little better, guys?
How's that, guys?
Or do I just whisper? Still too loud. Okay.
There.
Hold on. I can reduce my gain a little bit.
So reduce here.
How's that? That a little better?
How's that, guys?
Just a little bit. Mic check 1, 2. That's better. Okay, good.
There we go. Okay.
I pulled my mic away a little bit, and I brought my gain down, so it should be a little better. A little low now. Well, make up your damn mind. No, all right, guys. That's hopefully I eased it up just a little bit. Mic check 1, 2.
We're 30 seconds till the bell.
30 seconds to the bell. Everybody, it's been one of the best decisions I made in futures, Ox, was not trading about the first 10 to 15 here. I usually, when I first got into futures, that's when you make all your money, right at the bell. And due to good habits like journaling, I realized I am a crap trader for the first about 10 to 15 minutes. So click it up 3 more.
Hold on,
that was very specific.
I'm adjusting. Hold on, maybe that'll be better.
Okay, I'm gonna leave mine where it's at, and I'll leave it up to you. That way we're both not making adjustments.
Is that any better, Ace?
Yeah, actually, Joe, I rarely trade power hour. I mean, especially if I'm hitting some of my marks and where I want to be. About last I checked, I think 78% of my trades come before lunch. Sounds good? All right. Chris says it sounds good. If Chris says it sounds good, we know it sounds good. Yeah, by the way, Ox, I think we need to tell these individuals that Central Time is real time, like all these East Coast wackos. Come on, y'all. 8:30 to 3 is market hours.
That's where the CME is located. That's what we should go with.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we'll let everyone digest the open here for a couple of minutes, and then guys, in sometime in the next about 15, 20, I'll have Ox pull up my screens. I'll kind of walk you through some of the stuff that I look at and look for. First of all, how's everybody doing this morning? Everybody feeling pretty good? I mean, if you're anywhere other than I think the Gulf Coast of Florida, you're probably doing pretty well this morning.
Yeah.
Big shout out to our mutual friend Josh down there who's hunkering down. Hopefully all is well with him and his family, and you know, um, yeah, that's got to be scary.
Yeah,
Feeling great. That's good. That's good. USC. I'm glad to hear that.
we have another regular here, goes by Mr. G. He's in Tampa. He just sent me a message saying that he's going to look at the next weather report and decide whether he's going to go to a shelter. It's about 10 minutes from him. So
Yeah, yeah, I get it. Believe me, that's rough.
yeah, big drop here at the bell.
Yeah. I usually am looking at, and I'll show this all in a few minutes when I want everyone to just kind of be able to digest the first 10, 15 minutes of the open. But I'm usually watching 4-hour charts for about the first 10 to 15 just to see the overall context of what we're looking at. And then I start to zero in a little more. I used to have a lot of different time frames that I looked at, especially when I was, for a long time. And when I was working at a trade station, I was an options trader and I coached options. And I was looking. Seriously, I would look at a 1 week, daily, hourly, and 15-minute chart, and that's what I made all on one workspace too. It was very crowded, but I had my own setup there, and it worked very well. And then when I got into futures, I was looking at way too many different time frames, right? And so I really needed to narrow it down. And for me, at least daily on the futures, it's something that trades basically almost 24 hours a day. Daily charts just don't really show as much as I'd like in that scenario. So I basically go with 4 hour and 5 minute, and that's about it. So I'll kind of have the 4 hour where I'm looking at, kind of formulating my market thesis and, general direction, all that kind of stuff, and just kind of to where I get my 10,000 foot view, and then I'll get into the 5 minute and start narrowing down there. I don't have this blown up too high. What time frames do you use on that chart there, Ox?
I'm using a 1 minute and I have a 5 minute next to it.
Oh, you 1 minute futures traders, man. A 1 minute futures chart gives me a headache. So I will ask this, Ox, how's your trading been since the last time we talked?
Up and down. I was doing
Okay.
good. I passed another account, and then since I've been on the funded account, I've been going backwards, but it's been up and down. So
Okay. Yeah, I mean I've noticed that in the couple years I've been working with the, various funded trader companies. Obviously, I worked briefly with Josh at his last place, and if when he gets back in, looking forward to doing that again. But yeah, it's an interesting. There's a whole level of trading psychology into working around these firms and getting accounts with these firms that I don't know has been fully explored yet. I mean, trading psychology as a whole, going back to Mark Douglas, to more modern like Dr. Steenbarger in those groups, Jared Tendler, have been very well explored. But this is a whole new level to it, or at least a new layer to it's interesting. It's something that I don't know that I've formulated kind of a whole thesis on it yet, but I want to do like either a webinar or a course on that at some point and just really kind of explore that. But it's something, and somebody rightly pointed out to me when I first got into this world, I grabbed a couple accounts at various places just to kind of understand how it was going, but I never had the experience of trading one of these accounts like as my main trading income, right?
right.
Because in all honesty, I've really just stuck with my personal brokerage account through all this. Although I'm reconsidering that, and I'll get into that later. But so yeah, so was trading these without the sort of emotional pressure that comes with somebody who that's what they do, and that's their that doesn't have $50,000 to throw into a brokerage account. So I talk to a lot of people that come through that world when somebody joins my community, which we'll talk about a little later. I'm usually very I want to question them about that kind of stuff and what they go through. And you and I talked a little bit about that a couple weeks ago. But it's an interesting new layer to trading psychology, and the trading nerd in me really looks forward to exploring that.
Absolutely. Very good job, Ace. Ace got his 2 points. Ace is saying his 2 points a day can feed a family. And he almost gets them every day. So
Well, the saying that we had in one of the communities I worked in about 8 years ago was $500 a day keeps the job away. You know, and it really is. And I do encourage everybody in here to, as you go through this journey, don't get me wrong. Should you guys shoot for those huge 5-6 figure payouts somewhere? Absolutely, don't settle for a little bit here when you can have a lot, but that doesn't come in the first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, right? You look at the people that make some of these withdrawals. Usually, most of them have been trading a while, or they're operating in such bulk in these accounts that it's not going to be easy for someone like us to scale that, right? So, again, when you first get your first funded account, just try for a couple hundred a day, right? I mean, really think about that. If you can average $200 a day in those accounts, and forget payout rules and all that kind of stuff, that's obviously a very big mess in the industry right now. But yeah, 1K a day too, and work up to that. But even just $200 a day, think about that, guys. Honestly, how many of you? That's pre-taxes. Forget the taxes for just a second. But that's if you take 2 weeks off a year and you average $200 a day, that's 50K a year. How big of a difference would that make to everybody? I always tell people, you come into this with the M word, with millions written in your eyes and in your dreams, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong to aspire to that, but you're not going to make $1 million trading if you can't make $1,000 trading. So it's all a matter of scale. We think we need to have 100 different strategies. We think we need to have these huge contracts. Guys, find one strategy that you can make $500 a week on with 5 micros, right? That's it. And yes, you're not going to be green every day, not every week, but let's say you average $500 a week on a strategy with 5
Order
micros.
filled.
Do you know what the only step, and this is over months, right? Not just a hot streak. Do you know what the only step left is at that point? Scale it. That's it. Then all of a sudden 500, you go up to one mini or 10 micros. $500 becomes $1,000 a week. Then you go up, you're eventually up to several minis, and that becomes $5,000 a week, and now you're at that 1,000 a day, right? And so yeah, just stay realistic your first year or two in this business, guys. Don't get caught up with the I realize the irony of what I'm saying, because both Ox and I do a lot of stuff on YouTube, but don't get into the YouTubers that have all the thumbnails where they look surprised at everything, right? I can't stand those. but it's just stay realistic, stay within yourself, and once you gain that confidence and you have maybe your second or third year of successful trading, then the sky's the limit, right? Play the long game, and I don't mean position direction, right? Try to be in this business. Don't tell yourself I'm going to make $1 million in year one, because guys, I'm here to tell you, you're probably going to be very, very disappointed, right? But tell yourself, instead of a dollar sign figure, I'm going to look to stay solvent in this game and consistently producing for the next 20 years. And that is how you will make millions in this business. And I've seen it done. All right. So, Ox, what are you looking at about this time of day?
just watching my candles form. I mean, at this point,
That was deep, brother.
Yeah.
That was deep right there.
I know. I just looking at it from my golfing here. Like, if you could see my screen, I'm seeing a blue candle there. That's interesting to me.
Okay.
And if it gets through the EMAs, I could be interested in a trade right there.
I will tell you guys, for me, I in the indexes, if I'm looking at indexes, in the indexes, I look at the basics: NQ, ES, RTY, YM, right? Nothing too complicated there. But I use the NQ as kind of my barometer for a lot of different things, right? Because the NQ is, as we like to call it over at Touristy Trading, a monkey on meth, is a it's a real barometer, right? If it's not doing much, the indexes as a whole, for the most part, are not doing much. So one of the indicators I use pretty consistently, guys, very simple: 5-minute ATR on the NQ, and that'll tell me about how much we're moving. That'll tell me the volatility, or at least the volatility of volatility, as it were. So right now, the 5-minute ATR is sitting at about 15.3. I really want that above 18, right? Or preferably above 20
Order
to 25.
filled.
If I can get an 5-minute ATR about 25-ish to 28, that's a real sweet spot for me in terms of the amount of movement I'm going to get. So yeah, I do. If the 5-minute ATR, once we get about 15 minutes into the market, is not above 15, I do not trade indexes, period. Even the ES, right? So I won't trade the ES if the 5-minute ATR and the NQ is below 15.
Nice job, RJ. And we are rising up. About to claim 2,300.
These 100 levels have really acted as pinning magnets over the course of the last few weeks. It's not necessarily as supporter. There's three kinds of sort of price action around a key level, right? There's support, there's resistance, and then there's the pinning action, right? Where the price, it doesn't stop there, but it can't get too far away, right? The analogy that I've always used is I call the pinning places. It's like having a toxic ex, right? Like we've all had that ex that's just really toxic, and it could be a friend or relationship, whatever. And if you don't know anybody who has that, it's probably you. But that person, I had a buddy in college who kept dating this girl that was just no good for him, right? He kept finding his way back to her, and that's the same thing the markets do at some of these levels. They'll wander a little bit away, but they always find their way back until there's some big shift in everything. So yeah. All right, let's take a look here. So guys, I'll tease a little bit here at the top of the hour. I'm going to kind of go through a little bit of what we're working on in my community. I run a playbook community, right? Like instead of like we do live trade, 4 days a week. I'm usually any other day this week I'll be in there trading the open. So we do have a live trading component, but specifically what we do is we show the process and go through it together of building out playbooks, right? And that's something I think if you notice, if you go back and review that coaching session I did with Ox a couple weeks ago, or was that just last week?
I don't know. All this times runs together anymore.
Man, it does. It really does. But the importance of taking the guesswork out of your trading, right? And when I'm in a trade, like 90% of the work for the trade is done before I press the send button, right, on my orders. Whether it's a limit order, I rarely do market orders. I usually I rarely market into things. I do stop market orders to get into certain things on level breaks, but it's to have that, like, so for example, if I'm trading my RTT setup and it's in the NQ, I know I'm playing for about 30 points of profit versus about 18 to 20 points of drawdown. So most of the work is done before I even get in the trade. And I'm in the trade. The only thing left to do is set my stop loss and my initial profit target. So one of the things that newer traders will experience is they'll buy because they think something's going to go up. They'll sell because it's going to go down. Or like they'll have like a zone that they're trading and say, okay, I'll trade a breakout or a breakdown. And then maybe they but there's no entry rules, right? So you're trading as soon as the zone breaks. Maybe you get a false breakout or false breakdown, and now you don't know where your stop is, and all of a sudden you're frozen. You blink, you're down $600, right? So it's a whole. We'll get into that a little more as the time progresses here, but or until Ox kicks me off his stream, but. Yeah, it's going to be we'll get a little more into that, but I want everyone to kind of digest the open first, and I got to get this second cup of coffee now.
I had to look away from the charts. Apparently, I have something flaring on my frickin' Discord.
What's going on in the Discord? Your Discord has been the place to freaking be, Ox. I'll tell you.
Got a fast track shill in there attacking other people.
Oh, good Lord. Why can't these people just play nice? I have said many times in my years in this business, and I don't need to give everyone, 20-minute resume, but I started trading about 10 years ago, actually a little over 10 years ago. Like a lot of you, not much success first year and a half. But when I started figuring out, I started running a study group for some people I was in a community with, and the head of the community, the guy that ran the trading room, then hired me to help out with a few things and moderate his room. I worked for him for a couple of years, bounced around a little bit, kind of started doing my own thing, and then one of my main mentors, a woman named Sarah Potter, who was big in options, hired me at You Can Trade, which was a company for a time that was the TradeStation's education subsidiary. Had a really good run there for a couple of years, and COVID happened. It really disrupted kind of our model, and by the time we pivoted, and TradeStation just wasn't interested in being in the education business anymore, which actually I don't blame them. It's a drop in the bucket compared to what they make from the brokerage, but so I've kind of been around and experienced a lot of different types of trading and instruments and all of that, and it's been, I will say this, and I've met some of the kind of the big names that you see on TV and interacted with some of them in some ways. And then I've interacted with some people who are the best traders I've ever met that you will never hear their names because that's just not who they are. And I will tell you this, as I see, Ox has to referee another pissing match in his Discord. I have met the very best people that I've met my entire life in this business, and I've also met the very worst. And it's not as skewed to the bad as you'd think. Like you'd think, oh, 90% of people in this business suck, and it's not. I mean, I would say it's over 50%, but it's not. It's not that. It's a really interesting industry, right? And I've met people that what's the old expression about slinkies? Some people are like slinkies. They're generally useless, but you can't help but smile when you watch one go tumbling down the stairs, right? And that's there's some people that fit that mark. Now, I've met people like yourself, Fox, like our mutual friend Josh, and other people that are really, really, like, to be honest, pardon my language, give a shit about traders, right? And care about educating them and wanting them to do the best they can, and quite frankly, creating companies and setups that are beneficial to the trader over the long term, right? I know you affiliate for a lot of different firms, and I do appreciate you're pretty upfront with people about what's working, what's not, what people like, what they don't. But yeah, I mean, the sim funded firms we've talked about this before. It's in their best interest for you to activate accounts, pay your activation fees, and then fail the accounts, right? That's their profit model.
Right.
And so more and more companies that come in that have defined paths to a live brokerage, the better it's going to be for traders, even if those have a little more upfront cost to them. RJ's long the Dow. Pull up the YM here. Oh man, yeah. If you've got long at the
boom,
open, you're having a good day.
I just got a 12.5 point winner on the NQ.
There you go. What's your average position size on the NQ?
1.
No, that's intelligent. I was gearing up to yell at you for too big of a position size. So.
Now I'm usually I'm usually the opposite of a lot of traders. I'm way too cautious versus way too risky.
Yeah. So I will ask, because I see we got about 20 people here now. Does anybody have any questions, any trading related questions that you'd like to ask? Because I think in a few minutes here we'll probably get into a lot of analysis and looking at a few things. So I hate doing events like this where people have questions that are unanswered. So if you have any questions, feel free to fire them off. We'll kind of do an open Q&A for about 10 minutes here, and then we can switch over to my screen. I can kind of show you what I'm looking at.
269, 369, not much difference there, RJ. Only 100 points. But still, it's an excellent trade. Dow's up to 500, so wow. Excellent, RJ. Yeah, RJ is our YM trader. He thinks everyone should trade the YM instead of the crazy NQ.
I will tell you, I have I have a client in my community, and she while most of us are like running the hamster wheel of the NQ, she just kills it in GC and YM. Those are her two main trading instruments, and she does just really, really well in those. And she's most of what she does is and we do some VWAP based stuff, and so like those seem to behave a little better around those particular key areas. Oh, JC with the excellent question, man. You key up one of my talking points there. Yeah, so average learning curve is 5 years to learn to trade. How much does having a mentor shorten that journey? Well, let's address the first part of that first. Average learning curve is 5 years. I would agree with that to a point. I feel in this day and age, the way the markets are, it's about a 2 to 3 year process to really, and I want to be careful in my phrasing here, but to really kind of get the markets, right? And when I first got into day trading, a gentleman that I worked with at TradeStation at the time told me, I said, so I'm making the transition from swing trader to day trader. What do I need to know? He says, well, the most valuable thing for a day trader is screen time. There's no substitute for it, right? Yeah, you can go back and repeat days and trades, but live screen time of the markets in real time, you just have to experience as many times, hours, days as possible. So there's no more valuable thing than screen time. And for various people, average is 5 years. I mean, that may be true. I've met people that get a good grip on it in their first year. I've met people that it takes 3, 4, 5 years. So doesn't mean you can't make some money in the meantime. Hopefully we can, especially if you kind of play the play the profit and the odds in these particular you know funded companies, and I use funded in air quotes, but yeah, it is a journey, to say the least. Now, as far as having a mentor shorten that journey, it's like anything else, guys. You're gonna. I mean, I always use the analogy because I have a really good buddy of mine who's a plumber, and he makes really good money doing that because he's very, very good at what he does, right? And so, yeah, it's no different than that. Or the another analogy I use is flying an airplane, right? I mean, if you're learning how to fly an airplane, you got to sit in the classroom first. You got to learn some basics. You got to learn how a plane works. You got to learn some, very, very fundamental physics. And at that point, it's not like they give you the keys to the plane and be like, all right, have fun, right? I mean, maybe some places do, but I'm not getting on a plane with you if that's the only instruction you've had, right? And so you got your first flight up. What are you doing? You're flying with an instructor, somebody who's very experienced, who can handle any dumb mistakes you make, right? And you first time up, the instructor takes off, you fly a little bit, the instructor lands, then you fly a little more, then you take off, then you land, all those stuff. And it's quite some time, and you have to have quite a few flight hours before you can fly on your own. And trading's the same way. And so yes, having a mentor, I think having a mentor is vital. And I think it can shorten your learning curve up to 1 to 2 years. To be honest, but I do think it's and this is the model I chose when I kind of launched our community back in December, was a mentorship but community based model as well. We're a small thriving group over there. I'll talk a little later about the opportunity to join us if you guys are interested. I'm currently running a little bit of a deal to because I really believe in what we're doing, so I offer a $7 for 7-day trial. Just so everyone can come in and kind of see how we act, and and how we go through things. And I have no problem somebody saying, "Gosh, you know what? I appreciate it, man. It's really not for me." And I've had people email me with that, and then I've had people say this community has changed my trading, right? Like I was busting out accounts left and right. Now I just made my first withdrawal, right? So it's a not there is no panacea, right? There's no one-stop shop for everything trading, and anyone that tells you there is quite honestly full of crap. But like I said, I'll break that down a little more here in a few minutes. Just catching up.
Hey Ron, how you doing?
All right, I can close Discord there. I don't need that. All right. So I will maybe just a couple minutes, Ox. I'll have you switch my screen share over.
All right. Just tell me when.
I will do that, and I'll kind of show you how my screens look. I actually just made a slight change to I use TradingView for the majority of my charting, and I'll place trades through a couple different places, mostly my Edge Pro X account, which I actually don't have pulled up right now because I don't want to accidentally click something while I'm on here. But it's I just actually made a transition about 2 or 3 months ago where I instead of having like a master chart where I make most of my decisions, and then if there's a particular type of setup, I'll go look for some backup somewhere else. And I've actually started to segregate my charts by setup. One of the things, again, as we do in my community is we trade playbooks, and we have 3 phases that our playbooks go through before they're ready for full deployment. I'm actually going to do, I have a webinar tomorrow, guys. If you're on YouTube, not right now because you're watching this stream, but you search my channel, MightyOxTrading. I have a webinar scheduled for the close tomorrow on the 3 phases of, it'll be about a 45-minute presentation of building out a playbook, and I'll break them down a little more for you. But long story short, it's phase 1 is visual observation, visual and machine backtesting on an idea, right? It's just the idea. We don't even have a lot of rules for it yet. It's just, hey, I wonder if there's an edge here. Phase 2A is rules development based on what we've learned in phase 1. We'll phase 2B is paper trading. We'll just ease in, and yes, systems will go back and forth a lot in phase 2, which is why I didn't separate that into 2 different phases. But we're paper trading. We're tweaking our rules. We're adding little indicators. Maybe we're taking some away. We're making it a little more complex, making it a little more simple, whatever we need to do. And then phase 3 is scale up live trading. So at any given point, we have, like right now, we have 2 playbooks in phase 1, 2 in phase 2, and 1 in phase 3. And I'm not going to add any more until any get dropped, because 5 is a lot. But you should, as a trader, you should always have playbooks or setups, and I use those terms interchangeably. So when you hear me say playbooks, guys, you're talking about strategies, you're talking about setups. Oh, thanks, Ox, for posting that up. I appreciate that. You can go ahead and ask for a reminder on that right now and subscribe to the channel as well. So I usually do a live show at the close every day. I wasn't able to do yesterday at the dentist appointment, but I will do one today, and then tomorrow will be the webinar. And I also post the morning market briefing up there every morning. It's about a 5-minute video that just kind of walks through the 10,000 foot view of the market and things that I'm looking for on that particular day. But yeah, so give that a look see. All right, Ox, if you want to switch me over here, I'll kind of go through everything that I look at.
Give me 1 second. By the way, we have a little bit of news coming up here at the top of the hour. U.S. wholesale inventories. I don't expect that to really do much. Let me find my zoom there. Never mind, let's hit the button. Okay, there we go. You are up on the screen.
Okay, I see that. That's great. So let me kind of show you through my workspaces, guys, how I use them, what I talk about, or what I look for, et cetera, et cetera. So here, guys, this is my 4-hour chart. This is where I start and end every day. Okay. You'll notice here I have some drawings on here. You notice how many indicators I have on here? None whatsoever. So I'm not, interested in cluttering this chart up. All I want is this chart to kind of tell me the 10,000 foot view, as it were. So I know we've got kind of a zone within a zone here on the ES right now, and we're right about at the midpoint of this zone. I don't have time to go into my whole zone trading spiel, because that can go as much as a half hour. But basically, in any zone, I will just give you the 5-minute version. In any long-term zone of trading, right, like we have here, and this is not the cleanest zone back here, so maybe this might not be the best example, but we have 3 areas that we're looking at, right? We're looking at the top, we're looking at the bottom, and we're looking at the midpoint of the zone, okay? And so when we're in a zone, like when we get to the top, and we get to the top and we start a little bit of retracement. Now, sure, can we always then reverse and go and crack to the top? Sure. But if we reject this area, the probabilities favor a test of the midpoint. We break through the midpoint. The probabilities favor a test of the support of the lower end of the zone, right? And you can go back and forth on this. Now, again, this is not the cleanest zone, but you can see the midpoint of the zone has acted, I won't say as clean resistance, but a little bit of resistance, right? Other than this little area here, we've had trouble getting and staying above that midpoint, right? So again, this isn't the best example, but I think you understand the very basics of what I'm talking about. And I won't necessarily make trades off of that alone, but it will help me find trades, my other setups, and looking within, if I have zone back up on a we reject the top of the zone and I get a short setup, okay, I'm going to be really excited about that, right? So yeah, so this is basically what I look at, again, to start and end every day, the various zones, the ES, the NQ. I will tell you this, when I first started trading 10 years ago, it was all about the Dow and the SPY, right? And now it's really all about the NASDAQ, the Qs, QQQ on the ETF, NQ on the futures contract, because, again, Apple, NVIDIA, Tesla, the big boys, they run the markets now in terms of how we go. So it's always we always want to be paying attention to that. So I have a number of Renko-based setups, guys. Well, 3 in particular that are 2 directions. So basically, I have three Renko playbooks that produce 6 different setups. Three setups and a long and short setup for each. The Renkos have been pretty messy for the last about month. Since basically the 2nd week of September, the Renkos have just not led to as many trade setups, and especially not led to as many reliable trade setups as I would like. But I'm not giving up on them, because I've been trading pretty consistently for about 2.5 years. But I have a couple of basic setups that I will trade on the Renko chart that are mostly based on kind of the old Bill O'Neill cup and handle play. And the whole basis of that play is, reversal of trend, so for example, reversal of downtrend, short-term high, and then a break of that short-term high, and obviously the inverse of that as well. And so I created a couple of strategies based on the Renko versions of that, because Renkos are so clean at showing a trend and the strength of trend, right? And when the Renkos are looking like this, now granted the majority of this price action was before the open, right? But when Renkos look like this, it tells me it's there's a lot of chop in this particular market, right? And the NQ has been challenging to trade, to say the least, over the course of the last few months. This next setup, this is actually one of our playbooks. It's in phase 2 right now. The IBB setup, for those of you that are edge full guys, the initial balance breakouts, basically your 60-minute orb, right? And we're trading that in the ES and the GC. The ES started off really, really well with this, and then hit a historic hot streak, then hit a historic cold streak, and now it's just sort of farting around. So it shows us the importance of collecting the right amount of data, right? And unfortunately, the good thing about the IBB is it produces a trade almost every day. The bad thing about it is, by the very definition of opening range breakouts, breakdowns, it only produces one trade. So we only get one trade of data per day on this. And so we have to kind of extrapolate for that. And we've only been doing this for a couple of months. So we really only have about 55 trades in this. It still shows some promise, but it's been an outlier in terms of how it's acted the last month versus historically, right? And we know how it's acted historically because we've done some back testing on this. The GC has actually been, it's down here, has been a really, really nice setup for us. We just started trading this last week. I think it's 5 of 6 so far, which again, very small sample size. But I'm encouraged by the early progress that we're seeing on that. And again, we have rules for our playbooks. This one is basically in kind of a mid phase between 2A and 2B. We're paper trading it with rules, but they're not the final rules, and we're still adding, kind of subtracting, tweaking where need be. This is my basic 5-minute chart, guys. So this is what I'm looking at. I'm almost always going to refer to this chart before I make a trade, right? And it's basic 5-minute candles. The only indicator I really have on here that I keep up all the time is VWAP, and I have +1, +1, -1 standard deviation bands, +2, -2 standard deviation bands. That helps to tell me, for those that have a basic understanding of probability and statistics, which I do recommend as a trader you have, understand, like, when we're up at a +2 standard deviation band, we're in basically a 1.5 to 2% percentile in terms of the move, right? So up there, it's very hard to take positions, because a long position in theory will be chasing. A short position is basically the long equivalent of catching a falling knife, right? I refer to that as grabbing the rocket fin, right? Because you're just like catching a falling knife, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get vaporized grabbing the rocket fin, but you understand what I'm saying with that. And then, just basic VWAP, which, the futures market pays attention to more than you think. Down here, I have my 5-minute ATR, which now is up above 20, and so that looks good. Then down here, I have volume delta. I'm a big believer in volume delta and helping to kind of unlock what's going on, right? And basically, since the open, almost every candle has been red volume delta, right? And so in the NQ, when I see this, and we just have mostly red volume delta, that tells me the probabilities favor, if we're going to break out sometime soon, favor a move to the downside, right? Although, with this many potential sellers in through here, whether they're short sellers, whether they're just longs unloading, it tells me if we break to the upside and get above 300, we could see a really good velocity of movement, right? Because all these shorts that have accumulated in through here are eventually going to need to exit those positions, right? So that you add buying to short covering to a little bit of a hysteria, which the NQ is very predisposed towards, and you can get the recipe for some of those catching those nice 50, 60 point moves that, quite frankly, make your trading day and make your trading week. I will say one thing here. So for me, actually, this is a huge red light as far as trading goes. So I have my 5-minute ATR down here. It's 21.25, right? This is my standard deviation width. Okay, so this is the amount between here, right? So VWAP to +1 standard deviation is 19.5. If the dev width is greater than my 5-minute ATR, I will not trade. At least this particular instrument, and most likely the indexes in general. Okay, because what does that mean when our 5-minute ATR is less than our dev width, right? Or excuse me, the ATR. Sorry, I got backed up on that. The ATR is greater than the dev width. So sorry, it's early. I haven't finished my second cup of coffee. So I don't want to see the ATR bigger than my standard deviation width, and the reason for that is standard deviation width is going to go with direction, right? So if we start to shoot up here, we're going to see this +2 standard deviation band increase. We're going to see VWAP go up. We're going to see these bands do this, and this is the kind of price action we want to see, right? Because it means price action is expanding. Price action expansion leads to contraction, leads to expansion, et cetera, et cetera. And in this particular scenario, we don't want to see what we're seeing here, which is just a lot of chop. This is what I call a politician's market, guys. So whereas in the joke I always make with this is a politician will talk a lot without saying anything, right? But we have a local, our mayor is famous for this in the town that I live in. He can answer a question for 20 minutes and you're like, oh yeah. And then you walk away and be like, wait, what? It's so whereas a politician will talk a lot without really saying anything, a politician's market will move a lot without really going anywhere. And you can see we're getting some good movement. 5-minute ATR, 30 minutes into the market is 20. That's okay. It's not great, but you can see we're moving. We're not going anywhere, right? So, all right, let me catch up on the comments here. Doesn't look like there's any questions. All right, okay. So let me move on. So this is a strategy we've got in phase 1 right now. This is what we're calling the Keltner cross. It's a moving average crossover with Keltner channel backup. And it's looking very promising so far. I mean, it's early. It's very early. And I've had a bunch of, I'm always developing playbooks, guys. I've been doing it for years. I've had a lot look very promising in phase 1 that never make it to phase 2 or never make it, especially to pass the rules development stage. To see something and think there's an edge there and then develop the rules to trade it are two very, very different things, right? So, this is something we're working on every day in there. I anticipate in the next couple of weeks it'll move over to phase 2. But it's one of those that's not producing as many trades as I thought, but it's producing some good winners and especially some big winners. So that's nice. And the last one here, guys, just a basic gap fill, right? Again, this is another edge fill tool, edge fill trade. But we're just looking for basic gap fills from the New York session in various instruments. I don't know how promising some of the indexes look in this so far, but I think GC and or CL, depending on gap size, again, the bigger gaps, no shock, right? The bigger gaps have less of a chance of retracing as the small ones do. But especially in the NQ, we're playing around with, where's our gap here? Why I have to, there we go. All right, so gap, there was really not much of a gap today, and gap is gap is filled. But anyway, the, even a 0.2% gap in the NQ, which is not a lot on the scale, can be, it's easy to, not easy. It's, to have a move that's 200 points, we're not going to try and catch 200 points. We're going to try and catch 60 or 70 or 80 out of that. When that has statistically, let's say, an 80% chance of retracing, that's a hell of an edge for us. Now, this is in phase 1. We're still developing the rules. But I think this is going to be something that makes it all the way to the end. But again, I've been wrong on that before, and that's why we have to do the work, and we have to put in the energy to develop the rules, to journal the outcomes, all that kind of stuff. So I'm really looking forward to continuing to expand in that. All right, any questions on any of this stuff, guys? I kind of went through quite a bit there. So there's really nothing imminent for me. I'm not seeing a whole lot that's blowing my skirt up, as they say. CL's been a great mover. I just got into trading CL a little more in the past about 5-6 months. Still not a ton there, but it's been a nice little mover.
Yeah, it moves well when we have geopolitical events.
Yeah, and here's the thing, if you look at it, we're still in these big zones, right? And I've heard so many people over the years, the talking heads, all of this, that, well, the market's like this, and the markets don't like this, right? Listen, everyone wants to, first of all, I always say, don't trade your politics, right? Like, you vote your politics, you don't trade them. Because I think the stock market has made a new high under every president of my adult life, and there's been some pretty big ideological differences in those. So the market's like this party or don't like this, and that doesn't really play out historically. But there is one thing the markets really do not like, and that's uncertainty. Obviously, the situation in the Middle East is a high degree of uncertainty, and I think that's probably the only thing holding the markets back from a really big push up. Because I think a lot of the internals and a lot of the option chains support a move back to, I know the indexes have been hitting some new all-time highs, but like futures contracts and really just punching through some all-time highs. But I think the uncertainty here is really kind of holding us back in a lot of situations. But that's the only thing that I have found over, the markets do not like uncertainty. So much is priced in now, guys. Right? Like there was considering the Fed just cut rates 0.5%, it was a pretty muted reaction. Well, why was that? Because the Fed Watch tool told us that week that was going to be the move, right? So it was. The Fed rarely surprises anymore. It really Fed meetings are becoming less and less important. They're important that day and maybe the next day, but Fed meetings used to have 2 to 3 weeks of pop after them or drop after them due to stuff, and you just don't really see that anymore. Yeah, RJ, you're right, man. Pick a strategy, trade it, and journal the results. That's it. And I do always recommend having at least a couple of strategies in development. But at the same time, you really only need one. And once you're doing some consistency with one, scale it, then work on the next one. Oh yeah, RJ, you're 100% right. And you're gonna, one thing you're gonna hear from me. Ox, you can take off my screen share if you want to put your stuff back up, because I know you got your banners and stuff. But yeah, it's the one thing you're gonna hear from me quite a bit is doing the work. Right? Like this is a career. I don't even call it a job because whereas like a job you have, a job pays the bills, right? We don't have a lot of emotional investment in a job. A career is something you have, whether it's emotional, financial, whatever investment in. And so, you have to do the work as a trader. And guys, I'm here to tell you, if there was a magic strategy, if there was a trader out there that all you had to do was follow his or her trades and make millions, everybody would be there. I'm not saying there's not some great teachers of trading out there. There really are. There's some fantastic ones. There's also a lot of people that are just not that reliable, and the prop firm game has made some of that, less than transparent, as it were. And that's I get that a lot. How can I be sure you're going to help me, Matt? Well, you're not, and I'm not going to sit here and make false promises to you, right? But you got to do the work. You've got to, even if I have courses that have strategies in them, right? I still tell people don't just buy a strategy course and be trading it out of the box tomorrow, right? Treat it as a new strategy you've come up with, right? And put it. I mean, yeah, you can stick it right in phase 2, start paper trading it. But I've had people that, especially some of my Renko stuff that have emailed me back like 6 months later, say, oh, Matt, I had some success with your strategy as is, but I added this one indicator that I know very well, and it's really increased my ability to see these setups. Oh, that's great. I always encourage people, take setups and make them your own, right? And when I say prop firms, I mean the real prop firms, right? The ones that operate out of offices in New York and Chicago and all of that. They've done so much research on what makes good traders, right? And they've taken one very famous prop firm took, I want to say it was about 50 people off the street who had no experience trading, taught them just how to buy and sell, gave them a playbook that they know worked from years of back testing, trading, and setting it up. And none of those people were able to execute those strategies, profitably, right? When told that there's real consequences for their it's not paper trading, it's real money you can make or lose. And because they didn't have they didn't have the emotional and time investment in those strategies, right? Because how do you trade with confidence? I always get, how do you know when you take a setup it's not going to work or it's going to work? Well, first of all, of course I don't. But second of all, I've put so much time and energy in all of my setups that I know where their edge is. All right, and accepting losses, guys, is part of this business. Right? If I have a strategy that works 60% of the time, and most of my strategies are 55 to 60%, that's about the sweet spot that I operate with my risk reward. Even at a 60%, 4 out of 10 trades are going to be losers. Most likely a couple of those break even, but if I can't learn how to manage, and if you can't learn how to manage and accept losses, guys, you're not going to last very long in this business. Right? One of the better books on trading, if you haven't read, I recommend, is Best Loser Wins. Right? And that's very true.
So here's a question, since people are talking about, strategies, and if it, doesn't work, tweak it or throw it away. How long do you feel someone should stick with a strategy before they start looking for something else, versus, sticking it out versus strategy hopping? And second, how can someone tell whether it's the strategy versus their execution of the strategy? If that makes sense.
let me. Yo, no, completely understand. Let me get the second question first, and I'll circle back to the first one. So that's why having a process, a defined process of building and evaluating playbooks is very important, right? Because if if I know, and sometimes, we either don't have the ability or the knowledge or the access to fully back test a system, right? So we have to basically visually back test it. We go back as far as we can on the charts and record when it works and when it doesn't. But in most situations, now obviously something like a one-day trade a day thing is, I can't get this type of data. But in most situations, I want about 500 trades in something before I'm ready to deploy it, right? And even if 500 trades is a small sample size, but with 500 trades, I know how something's going to behave, right? I know, some of these Renkos, and there's a reason I teach them, but I always put caveats on it. Some of it is just watching the price action and kind of having a little bit of an innate understanding of how things move and how the price action moves within the charts, which, again, you develop from screen time. And it's not a hunch, it's not a gut or anything I hate that expression, but our brains are remarkable pattern recognition devices when we turn them loose. Now, as far as is it the strategy or is it me? It's why I am such a big believer in trading psychology, and I'm such a big believer in having the right mindset. Because if you're in control of your trading, which is the most important thing any trader can be, you're not making emotional decisions, et cetera, you can be assured if something's not working, it's the system, right? But you got to get there first. And yes, strategy jumping, that interview I did with Jared Tendler a few months ago, he talked about how dangerous that is for newer traders. And I understand that because I did it as well. And I'll give you the example. So there was a strategy that I learned very early in my trading career it was a swing trading strategy on a daily chart called the rounded bottom breakout, right? It's basically a small cap based, whether it's catching a dead cat bounce or a rebound, didn't matter if you can make, a few percent. But I lost $20,000 real money on that strategy the first year or so that I traded it. And yet, starting with a year before COVID up to the 3 years after COVID, it was, I mainly do that strategy in my IRA now, and I don't trade as many small caps, but I made more money off that than any other swing trading strategy I had. Well, what changed? Well, post COVID, obviously the COVID crash and the rebound was very different, but the market conditions hadn't really changed. The setup hadn't changed. It was the exact same setup as it was when I learned it. I changed. My ability to execute the setup and follow the rules and not freelance in it is what changed. Because, it's not uncommon, guys, in this business to, get into a trade hits your stop, and then it turns around and runs, and it would have been a huge winner for you, right? Well, guess what? That's trading. If you can't handle that, this is not the game for you. I got news for you, because that happens to everybody. It still happens to me a couple times a week at least. All right, so if you can't handle that, and that's going to cause you to revenge trade and get angry and make poor decisions, then I don't know what to tell you. You just, there's techniques for getting over that, but long story short is you have to get over that. And that's just, again, part of the game. But I can't remember. What was the first part of your question on that, Ox?
How long do you stick with a strategy before you decide to move on? Because, a lot of newer traders like the strategy hop. If it doesn't work out in the first week, they're on to something else.
Yeah. Well, again, for me, it's going to be probably 300 to 500 trades to know with set rules to know how it works. Which is why, people, saying, I was like, oh man, I just need one strategy. I don't have time to put in 3 to 5. Well, that's why you always want to have at least a couple of strategies on your back burner. Like on average, I'm probably only making 3. Well, it's actually closer to 3 now. I used to say 3 to 5, but it's basically closer to 3 like live brokerage trades per day. That's about what I do. I'm not one of those guys trading 20, 25 times a day. I prefer to, shoot for nice, ideally $1,000 to $2,000 winners. I'll try to cut my losses before they hit 4 figures, and and ideally if I can, finish the day a couple grand in the green, I feel pretty good about that. Now, but I'm always, in terms of amount of trades that I make per day, that includes everything, it's probably closer to 20 on most days, but it's not, the majority of those, probably 80% of those, are either like just marker trades where I'm taking a trade just to see how the price moves and how the P&L moves, or trades that are in, like I said, phase 2B, where we're live paper trading strategies in development, right? I would be willing to tell you that probably about 60 to 70% of the strategies that I've developed over the years, or I've taken into phase 2 or phase 3, do not go live. That's that's the nature of strategy development. Thankfully, hopefully I don't put in a ton of time to get him to that point. Hopefully maybe just 30, 40 hours over the course of several weeks. But I have spent 100, 200 hours on strategies, trading, developing, tweaking, testing, journaling that I have never deployed. And then again, that's just part of the game. But that's how I'm going to maintain my edge. It's why I'm confident that, as I sit here doing very well after 10 years in this game, that I'm going to be in the game another 30 years and continue to make life-changing money, is because of that process, of that system, and of my ability to adapt to various market conditions. So hope that kind of answers it.
It does. Now, JC just talked about having different strats for different instruments. Do you try to make your strats work for different instruments? Because you've talked about trading NQ and CL and etc. Or do you use the same strat for different instruments, or do you find something different for each instrument?
Ideally, a strategy will work across almost every instrument that I trade. Realistically, that's not always the case. Very often I will have strategies that seem to do pretty well in the indexes that don't necessarily do well in commodities or metals or anything like that. But I don't have a huge watch list. You can see my watch list up here: NQ, ES, GC, CL, YM, RTY, ZB, ZN, HG, SI, and the last three are just are basically indicators like the ADD, the VIX, and the SPX, right? So I'm really watching, let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10 futures. And I would be willing to say the majority of my trades come in about 4 of those. Mostly NQ, ES, GC, and CL. So now I'm trying to expand that a little bit, just because, again, the number over the past 2 months, the number of opportunities I've gotten in the indexes have been as low as it's been since I've started trading futures. So I'm trying to expand a little bit. Ideally, patterns work across multiple instruments, and realistically that's not always the case. But it's why I tend to default to very simple concepts like candlesticks, concepts like VWAP, which have a particular psychology and a particular market movement around them that will tend to be universal. Again, not 100% of the time, but I've found, like, now my Renko strategies, those are almost exclusively in the NQ, just because of the way the NQ moves and how I have that set up. I have struggled to find settings on the Renko charts that accurately reflect what I'm looking for in the pattern, beyond the NQ and to a lesser degree the ES. All right, guys, so I'll stick around about another 10-15 here, and then we'll let Ox do his thing. Although Ox is probably happy to rest his voice a little bit for a morning.
I'm doing well. I'm up $400, so hey.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. That's awesome. I'll drive down there and throw you a party for your first withdrawal.
Sounds good. Continuing to rise up here on NQ. It is at high day. Well, no, close to high day.
Lunch is on Ox. Well, I mean, listen, he just grazes out in the hay. I don't know, like, I don't want to eat that. I mean, not to offend Ox, but I'm looking for a burger, or a good steak.
Well, I am a carnivore. I know it's odd for an ox, but I am a carnivore.
That's very odd for an ox. Yeah, that's.
Crypticon, you got yourself a win, did you?
Let's see if there's anything really. Let's see if we got any counter crosses setting up. This is a little more of a reversal-based trade than a continuation-based trade. Always ask yourself that in your strategies, guys, because most successful trades are just. I mean, listen, it's not earth-shattering to tell you, are continuation trades, continuation of the current move, or reversal trades. I don't trade a ton of breakout, breakdown stuff. All right, might be getting a setup here in the GC, so I can watch this. Again, this is this is a phase 1 thing, so this is not. I don't want anyone to say, "Oh, Matt's saying there's a trade. Let's take it." But that is something we do. I will tell you guys. So I will invite you, and Ox can post the link later, to take our 7-day trial. That's $7 for 7 days. Actually, you get 25% off when you use Ox's code. the good old MOT, and that gets you 25% off the trial too. So it's $525 for 7 days. You get access to our community. I'll pull it up here, although I got to be careful. I don't put client names on the screen, so I want to make sure. Yeah, this will be good. There's no names on here. All right, so this is kind of a long story short of what our community looks like. We have a chat channel, right, just like Discord. Now, there's maybe 15 messages in there on a given day. It's not something you got to watch 24 hours a day, just for people to ask questions, stuff like that. We have our Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3 playbooks. We have our weekly goals. I encourage all members to post goals every week, learning goals and mechanical goals. Journal posts for anyone that wants to share. Trade tidbits are just little videos I'll record, usually 1 to 2 a week, that break down something that we're talking about, and then just the basic schedule of events. Like here's what October looks like. So it's but yeah, we do live sessions then every week. You can see, and all the recordings are posted. Live trading office hours, guys, twice a week. I just show up, I turn on my camera, I turn on my mic. Everyone's welcome to come in and ask questions. So, like I said, it's a mentorship-based community. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've over the years I've seen a mentorship-based community that offers no access to the mentor. That's kind of not cool in my opinion. But yeah, it's a I would. Do you have a max loss or profit per day where you just shut her down? So JC, I don't right now, but I do recommend that for newer traders. And the reason I don't get heavy into that is because a lot of accounts that people are trading, like with the various firms, kind of have that built in. That is something actually, guys, I really, really like, that all these firms have, you know, whether it's, and I'm not talking hard or soft, but like daily loss limits, total like max loss limits or stuff like that. They built in the risk management, right? And I think that's something that a lot of traders struggle with. So I'm really, really happy to see that built in, because I think it makes a little bit of my job easier. If somebody tells me they failed 5 accounts, I know their risk management isn't either their strategies don't work or their risk management is shit, right? So that helps me as a coach break a little bit of that down. But yeah, guys, you can hop on in. So basically $7 or 7 days for $525. And if you stick around after your trial, so you make it through the 7 days, you're happy, you pay your normal, it's about $145 a month after that, with Ox's 25% discount. And the reason it's, you know, I'm right kind of in that normal pricing with the discount, and that's because I put a lot of work into that community, guys. It's me in there talking or doing live trading or doing things like this. I don't have any moderators. I don't have any help in there. It's just everything you read, see that comes, you know, in an email or anything like that. It's me. It's a lot of work, but it assures that my message does not go through marketing, doesn't go through legal. It's an unfiltered message from somebody who has done what you guys want to do, which is I have no formal trading in this, guys. My degree is in sports management. I have a business background, coaching background, and when I got into trading, I had no formal financial education. And it took me a couple years to really kind of figure it out, meeting the right people, asking the right questions. But it's a long journey. But yes, a mentor and a community, like a place like Ox's Discord is a great community. I think it's a great place to ask questions and stuff like that. This is a little more mentorship focused, and like I said, this isn't a community or a chat room that you feel like you need to be in 24 hours a day. It's something you check 2 or 3 times a day, attend the events, and go from there. So outside of that, guys, it's I definitely encourage you to check that out. But I enjoy doing events like this. I imagine this will not be the last time you hear me. I will be doing fairly shortly. I can't talk details on it yet, but doing a regular stream someplace else as well. Ox knows what I'm talking about, but I can't. We can't talk about give out details yet. But outside of that, guys, if you have any questions, I'll stick around just a couple more minutes, then I'll let Ox get back to his thing. Any more questions from you there, Oxman?
No, not off the top of the head. I just want to point out that, you know, I have been approached by other coaches and stuff in the past, and Matt's the only one I've ever decided to actually, you know, promote and really work with. So, you know, I really like Matt, and I really do believe in what he is, you know, what he says, what he does, and which is why, you know, I decided to become an affiliate with Matt. So I definitely recommend, especially if you're a struggling trader, give it a try. You know, it's like I said with the course and stuff that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Especially if you're blowing a lot of accounts, maybe it's time to just, you know, take a quick break from spending more on evals and or PA fees and whatever, and maybe try and, you know, find something different in your game.
Well, I appreciate that, Ox. And part of this is, guys, and I understand, like, for me, this is, I am one of the very few people in the education business. I don't make a ton from education. Most of what I make is from my trading. But you're not going to see me splash profits and bullshit out there on social media. That's just not who I am. Would I probably triple my membership overnight if I posted my P&L every single day? Sure. But then what are people going to do? They're going to want to come in and just copy trades. And do we live trade together? Yes. Ideally on most days are we able to make some money together? Sure. But is that what the community is all about? No, it's about developing and building playbooks together, right? Like we're all pulling the boat in the same direction and rowing in the same direction. So it's a very rewarding process. But we're doing the work, and I'm not shying away from telling you guys how much work is involved in becoming a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, year-to-year, consistently profitable trader. I've been at this for quite some time. I've made a lot of friends and thankfully almost no enemies in this business, but I always appreciate people's skepticism when it comes to the education side of things. And I'll tell you to be skeptical, which is why I offer the trial that I do. Most people do not offer anything like that. But anybody that does probably has enough confidence in their product to give you a free or low cost look at it, to come on in and see if it's for you. And I'll be honest, guys, I think what we're doing there can help almost everybody. But if you come in and try and it's not for you, hey, that's okay. I'm never offended by that, because I know there were certain things that helped me and certain things that didn't, and ultimately it's up to you to kind of decipher that. But I would encourage you to check that out, guys. And if you have any questions, I'm Trader Matt on Discord. I will, like Ox, I will never like cold message you offering anything or anything like that. But I will respond if you direct message me. But if it's during the trading day, obviously give me an hour or two to respond. Outside of that, guys, I will put actually, I'll just tell you. My email in here is matt@tiresiastrading.com, TIRESIAS trading.com. You can see how it's spelled when the banner rolls around on top there. You're welcome to email me at any time. That goes directly to me. I try to get back to all emails within 24 hours. Except on the weekend. I don't mess around on the weekend. But it's other than that, guys. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out. I will definitely. Good questions today. I enjoyed this. I'll definitely reach out to Ox in a couple weeks. Maybe we'll do something like this once a month or something, kind of regularly.
Always.
But outside of that, guys, I appreciate that. Yeah, guys, just stay on your journey and just keep plugging along. Right? It's. Now again, like Ox said, if you're failing eval after eval after eval, if you fail 5 evals, guys, that's called being a trader. You fail 10, 15, 20, you got to change something. You can't, it's very frustrating to me. And listen, these companies are here to make money. We're all here to make money. But it is kind of frustrating to me that a company will let you reset or buy 10 new accounts on the same day and then you just blow them all, right? And they don't care. They got their money. But if you're getting into double digits of failed evals or performance accounts or whatever they're called at various companies, somebody tells me they failed 25 evals, the first question I'm going to ask is, what are you going to do different on 26? And if the answer is nothing, I mean, what's the very definition of insanity? Doing the same thing again and again and expecting a different result. So if you need some assistance, reach out to me, or again, hop into the community and ask questions. We got a pretty welcoming group in there. We're very small. We're just about 20 people right now. And I can tell you guys, when I hit 50 regular members in that group, the price goes up again because I don't want it to get too big. I'm not interested in running a room of 200 people. I'm just not. I've seen how that goes. So probably every 50 people that come in there, I will jack up the price a little bit, but whatever your price is when you come in, you're locked in. And the 25% off that Ox's code offers is good for the life of your subscription. So you get that the whole time. And like I said, once you make your first full payment, you stick around for the 7 days, you get a free one-on-one with me, you get a free course. 25 Rules of Day Trading is my best-selling course. It usually goes for $200. And my hour coaching sessions, guys, my time is valuable. I charge $297 for those. So if you come in and basically for about $150 when you figure your first payment and your trial, you're getting $500 worth of freebies. So I really encourage you to check that out. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And outside of that, Ox, I appreciate the time, and I wish you and your all your people the best, and I'll duck out.
All right. I appreciate being here, Matt. I hope you have a great day. So, guys, how's everyone doing today? Green, red, red, green, somewhere in between. Pull one down here a little bit. Pamela Adam, welcome to the stream. I don't recognize your name, so I'm going to assume you're new, or I'm going to assume the Alzheimer's kicked in. Blaze0630, welcome. Green, good. RJ got the big runner. Oh, okay, awesome. Well, glad to have you here, Pamela. Usually trade in the evenings on the ag there. I always thought it was like really slow, but I haven't looked at it in a long time. Trade up. I like you being a chatty Cathy, JC, because you ask good questions and you make good conversations. I appreciate it. Comes down to the 20 here on NQ. Bouncing on the 20. I guess I can kill the desktop audio. There we go. Okay. Sitting here. See if I get any more setups here with about 20 minutes to go. Little bounce up. Excellent. Ace goes for his 2 points a day. USC Sun goes for her 2 trades a day. I like it. That's a nice, relaxed strategy, USC. I like it. Let's see what else. What is everything else doing? We had crude oil inventories a bit ago. It's kind of still kind of wonky there. Natural gas take a big fall. Gold still falling. Ultra bond bounced. And copper still falling. You can see the big. This hourly candle's up 79 points. And the highest we've been in a few days, at least. Let's see. Got higher than there. Yeah, the highest we've been in since the 27th of September. Pulls down. Missed that purple candle. My fault. I was reading something. That would have been the perfect setup there for me. So, call me an idiot. Well, don't. It'll actually hurt my feelings. Bounces off that resistance that's now acting as support. Next Wednesday, we have RJ joining us, and we're going to be doing an 8 hour? 7:30 to 8.5 hour? No, 6. This is 7 my time, then 3 my time. 8 hour. Yeah, that's it. 8 hour stream. 8 to 4. Another purple candle. By the way, what I didn't tell everybody, well, because while my screen was covered, I just passed my last top step eval about an hour ago. I took the long off the, I think it was off the open. Hold on. Yeah, off the open. Yeah, I can even show it. This is my top step chart. I took long off this candle, 3 contracts, and I went for exactly what I needed. You can look, I went $14 over. So it was a $1,095 win. 3 contracts for 18 points, 18 and a quarter. And I just held until it hit. So now I have 5 funded Top Step accounts, or I will once they send me the stuff to sign. And I only do that on evals like that. You know, I don't usually do 3 contracts at all. But those Top Step evals are still from when they were offering the Top Step X accounts for $4.50. So it was always, if I blow them, I just wait until they reset for $4.50. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Blue candle trying to pop here. Don't know if I really like it there though. Yeah, I almost always just trade 1 contract as well. Am I going to copy trade them? Unfortunately, the other 4 are in various states of red. So I know before I copy trade, I need to get them back to break even. I need to baby them. Well, at least a couple. So let me see. Let me look at where each are at. This one's, I have one that's negative 644. And it still has about $1,300 in drawdown there. I have one that's positive by $9.66. I'm green. I have about $1,400 drawdown. I have one that's negative 1403. I have about $600 of drawdown left there. And then I have one that only has about $250 in drawdown left. That's the one I really need to baby with 1 or 2 micros for a while. Yeah. Popping back up. It sucks because you don't feel, you go down the micros and you don't feel like you're really making progress. But, at least with that one that only has like 250 left, I have to. It's still a green trade. So as of now, I have no other guests scheduled this month besides RJ twice. RJ on the 16th for our all-day stream, 8 to 4 Eastern, and RJ on the 26th for our all-night stream. Well, not all night, but 2:30 a.m. Eastern to 11:30 a.m. Eastern. I think we're just trying to push up here. We have about 6 minutes left to go. Yeah, that could be wrong. Also, remember, I don't know if they're really going to end tonight because they seem like they never really end, but the Apex and the Bulenox sales are due to end tonight. The 90% off Bulenox, the 80% off Apex. And there bounces. Sorry to hear that, Platt. All right. Then good. sitting here. Nice pop there. Are you still in a trade crypt? I thought you said you were done. Wow, boom. RJ, before I cut out of here, how many trades do you take per day? Isn't it like 4 average? Wow, look at this pop. Where does this come from? There you go. Okay, guys, we've reached the end of our time today. I do appreciate everybody being here today. We'll be back tomorrow for CPI action. Hope I get to see everyone tomorrow. If you're in Florida, please stay safe. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Of course, be around on the Discord. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Bye.